Hey guys, I've finally seen Megalopolis,
Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis.
and is about a young architect who tries to reimagine the city of New York that he loves so much. But not everyone is on board with this idea of remodeling the city. First things first, it was cool to see a Francis Ford Coppola movie in the theaters, let alone a new Francis Ford Coppola movie. And that's what makes talking about this movie so difficult to me, is the sort of buzz in the air before seeing it, knowing how out there it was going to be, and not knowing what was coming was the best part. So if you haven't seen it and you're interested in seeing it, I would really recommend just going to go see it. With that out of the way, though, I am going to attempt to talk about whatever Megalopolis is. There are four things that I really enjoyed about the film. First, the score. It felt really odd when we were sitting in the pre-release listening to the score and how disjointed it felt. But when the film actually started and we could hear the score with the scenes, it wove it all together in a way that I don't think the film would feel coherent at all without it. The second thing I really enjoyed was the cast.
What about those standing in your way?
Adam Driver is an absolute standout to me. I think he's the one who gets the tone of the movie the most. Giancarlo Esposito also is really engaging, but I think it's not his usual villainous role, which I really appreciated. And Natalie Emmanuel is the heart of the film in the same way that Lily Gladstone was the heart of the film for Killers of the Flower Moon. Without Emmanuel, I don't really actually think this movie works at all. The third thing that I really enjoyed was the cinematography. At points, I think it gets a little overlighty, but Coppola still has that masterclass knowledge of montage. And those moments in the film really work. The fourth thing would be the dialogue. Coppola's dialogue has a sort of zigzag pattern that is incredibly fascinating as it unfolds in front of you. And even though sometimes it feels like characters will come out of left field and say something that makes no sense, there's always this sort of on your toes, almost fighting action to it that's really gripping and really engaging. But this movie still feels like a mess. For every good performance, there's a bad performance. Aubrey Plaza and Shia LaBeouf didn't work for me, which after listening to Coppola's interview beforehand, when he talked about just letting the actors go, it kind of feels like more of a directing problem than it is an actual performance problem. In regards to how the film is paced, it's 2 hours and 20 minutes long, which actually is not as long as I thought it was going to be. There was a 40-minute Q&A beforehand, so I think that really threw off my sense of time. But I do think the film struggles with some pacing issues from the transition from the second act to the third act. There's a lot of plot lines that are kind of just dropped. The other thing that doesn't help the pacing is there's a lot of telling and a little less showing. A lot of times it felt to me like Coppola is trying to write some sort of philosophical book instead of make a film. It doesn't completely destroy the film, and I actually think he does a lot of the exposition really well. But it does have its moments where it feels off. Finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the interactive portion of the film. I was lucky enough to be at a screening where we had the Lionsgate representative come in and do the interactive portion for us as the film was playing. I was kind of worried that it would take me out of the film, but it actually only immersed me into it. It's weird though, because it's a lot of hustle and bustle about a minor part of the film. That being said though, it was really cool to see something like that in the film. So if you get a chance to see it with the interactive portion, please do. So now it's time to try to rate this behemoth of a movie. I personally feel more positive towards it than I think a lot of people are going to. I really love Coppola, and his older films are some of my favorite films ever made, and I think you can see that kind of same magic. But it feels in a lot of ways almost like a student film, where there's sparks of genius hidden in this sort of messy exterior. but it's so ambitious it almost makes up for it. But more than any other movie, I think this is just something you have to see on your own. So on my scale, it's Megalopolis. You just have to see it. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch and listen. From the interview, it seems like that's sort of what he wants from this film, is just for people to talk about it, to create a conversation. And after my screening, that's all that happened. It was really cool to see the entire theater just sit in the foyer and talk. And I was talking with people that I had never met before. And so I really hope that you guys get to experience that. And if you'd like, I'd love to have a conversation with you in the comment section below about the film. It's made to be talked about. So please, let's talk about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please consider subscribing, and I really hope you guys enjoy the video.